Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. This is the biggest brand in the world, biggest team in the world. So the fact that I ended up here, I think is just all part of God's plan. The fact that now I have this platform to, promote my story and promote stories similar to mine is just great. So that's exactly what I plan to do.
Brian Schottenheimer brought you up unprompted this morning in his press conference. Just what has the relationship been like with him, and what are your early impressions of him?
So when I was kind of agreeing to this deal, I was told, it's going to be a culture program, and I'm kind of a sucker for that. When I was at Harvard, when I was at UVA, that's exactly why I went to both those places. Great culture, great programs. I knew the head guys wanted to, build that camaraderie within the locker room. And Coach Dub, Coach Wells, the tight end coach, he explained it was the exact same thing here. And when I got on the phone with Coach Schotty before I signed, it was the same thing here. So I mean, that speaks volumes, and that's the reason why I'm here. Guys like him and the guys on his coaching staff.
A lot of teams talk about culture, but I guess in conversations and stuff like that, how did you kind of ascertain that they were a culture program?
Just when they brought us in, the stuff they had us do with the other guys here, just like little activities and team meetings and stuff like that, just to really get to know your teammates. I was paired up with Zion Childress in one of those activities, and I know a lot more about Zion than I did, 5 hours ago. And I know enough to say, yeah, I know that guy. And they brought up, people say, that's my boy, but you don't really know your boy. So they're trying to make sure we know our boys. So I know my boy Zion.
Schottenheimer brought up that exact kind of phrasing in our press conference. Was that something that maybe he kind of told you guys in the meeting?
Yeah, he nailed it home. Pretty good. Yes, sir.
Considering what you've been through, have you had a chance to reflect and say, wow, I'm here, considering what you went through as a kid and all these other things?
Yeah, a little bit. It's been tough. We don't get a lot of time right now. But when I walked out there today, so you see the helmets, you see everything. I mean, that field is engulfed in everything Dallas Cowboys. So that was kind of a surreal feeling. Can't wait to call my parents and kind of tell them about it. Absolutely. I think that's another mountaintop I think I've reached.
When you see those helmets, the one thing that's missing is the blue star. So what do you have to do as a rookie to earn your blue star?
It's a great question. Honestly, don't know yet. I assume make the team.
Yeah. So what do you have to do to make the team, which thereby earns you the blue star?
I just gotta, I gotta get better. I always said, kind of this process, I gotta get better at football. It sounds funny, but it's true. I think I'm an explosive athlete, and that's what's got me to this position. At Harvard, I was an explosive athlete. At UVA, I was. And I feel like when you get to the NFL, it gets out the nitty-gritty. Everyone here is an explosive athlete. Everyone here is a great athlete in their own right. But I got to get down to the nitty-gritty of my game, my footwork, how I'm breaking on certain routes, all that stuff, and that's why the NFL is the best of the best. So I get down to that, and I do exactly as I'm coached. I have no doubt in my mind.
What are some of the NFL tight ends that you've studied as far as their game, and to try to kind of borrow some of their techniques to kind of help you improve and be elite at the NFL level?
Yeah, so I'm actually repped by the same agent as Kittle and Ferg, so naturally those two guys. So I train with the same trainer as those guys, and I've got to meet them. I haven't met Kittle yet, but I met Ferg, and we worked out together for a few weeks. So I mean, just emulating not just what they do on the field, but like how they approach everything. It's just next level. When you go make that jump from college to NFL, they're like walking in all cool with these duffel bags, the sweet shoes. Everything is just looks like it comes so easy, but they put in so much work. And I mean, their stretching routines, how they're warming up is so deliberate. So just picking anything I can out of those routines is going to be tremendous for me.
So you and Ferg were working out ahead of the draft?
Yeah, he was working out next to each other. I was doing the pre-draft stuff. He was one of the cool vets, and I was like checking over, looking at his weight and seeing what he was doing and stuff like that. But no, he was a very personable guy, and I was glad to meet him.
What was the conversation that you guys had once you got the call and you made the decision to come to Cowboys?
Yeah, he shot me a text that he was fired up to play with me, and that meant the world to me. I was very excited to hear that because I hold him in high regard. So yeah, he was fired up to play with me. He was going to help me out in any way that he could, both on and off the field. So yeah, I was excied for it.
How old were you when you regained your hearing?
4, so I can't say I remember much.
Yeah, not what do you remember? What did people tell you about what that was like and 20 surgeries and all that?
Well, so I'm the 4th of 6 kids. So at that point, when I regained, all 6 of us were born. calculate my brother's age. Yeah, we're good. So, I mean, my father was military, and he was often deployed when I was younger, and so my mom had to, really pick up some slack when he was gone, and she said that my older brother, Trent, would communicate for me, that he could somehow, like, understand what I was saying, and, I mean, I couldn't speak, I was just, whining and crying a lot, and so it was kind of like a testament to the rest of my life. I was leaning on my brother at that time, and that's how it's been throughout every surgery since.
Where'd you live as a military kid? What were some of the places you stopped at?
That's where it gets tricky because my dad, my dad got his master's at William & Mary, and I was about 4. It was when I was about 4. I was born in Maryland, went to Maine, went to Virginia. He got his master's at William & Mary, and he's like, I'll be damned if I'm leaving here. So I lived in Williamsburg, Virginia for the next 20 years. And he worked everywhere in Virginia, commuted hour and a half, 2 hours for us, just to stay put, which isn't traditional in the military, but, there's a sacrifice my father was willing to make.
You talked about your brother, just how much appreciation do you have for everything that your family, brothers, parents have kind of done to get you through this point, to this journey?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm one of 6 kids, 6 kids in 8 years, so we're all super, super close. You couldn't find a tighter-knit family. So in times of need, when they have times of need and when I have times of need, you just lean on your family members. And I mean, it was great. I felt like I had more support than humanly possible. I mean, my family, my extended family, the people in the city of Williamsburg, I never felt alone. I never went to a chemo session alone. I usually never went to a chemo session with just one person. So the support was immense. You quite literally couldn't imagine it.
Who would be with you? Your family or friends?
My mom would always be there. My mom never missed one. My father made a lot. My grandfather, my siblings, but my mom never missed one.
How old were you when you were going through chemo and those kinds of things?
I think I was diagnosed at 15 or bless you, at 15 or 16. I finished, 16, about 8 months.